it was just so fun. I was healthy and fit, and I just had so much great momentum, and I was just really like living the dream.
Which member on the USA track team would you say was like the biggest partier at the Olympics? And I know Nick Symmonds ran in this Olympics, and so that is who I would expect.
Oh man, that's a good question.
What's your favorite item from Taco Bell?
Oh boy,
Hey everyone, welcome back to Max Effort. I was on a brief hiatus for a little while, but this is the segment on my YouTube channel where I interview some of the great runners in the world and share their stories. So far, my guests have included Jake Riley, who qualified for the Olympics in the marathon, Chris Robertson, the Beer Mile American record holder, and Brogan Austin, a member of Tin Man Elite. And today, I will be speaking with two-time Olympian, two-time national champion, a bronze medal at the Pan American Games, Kim Conley. We discuss everything from her being born in Slough, England, her running journey to get to the Olympics, who was the biggest partier on the Olympic track team, which country partied the hardest. We talk about whether Die Hard should be considered the greatest Christmas movie of all time, and she shares a very revealing secret about Taco Bell. So I hope you enjoy my interview with two-time Olympian Kim Conley. I will see you at the end of the video. Enjoy. Kim Conley, thank you so much for joining me and taking the time out of your day to talk to me.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So before we discuss your beginnings in running, you were born in Slough in the UK. When did you move to the United States, and do you remember living in the UK at all?
I don't remember living there because we moved here when I was 7 months old. But I have family in England, and so we used to go back fairly often. So I have lots of happy childhood memories from time spent in England. I'm half English, but yeah, I would consider myself American, and I grew up in America.
Do you have like dual citizenship?
I've never claimed it. I think I could, but there's no reason to, really.
Do you have a favorite football club in England?
Yeah, it's Liverpool.
Oh, and are you an Office fan? Because
oh yeah,
The Office UK was filmed there or based there.
Yeah, I know. So because I don't remember Slough at all, and actually that's just where the hospital was. My parents didn't actually live there, but I've always wondered if Slough is basically the English equivalent of Scranton.
And then you moved to California. What was your childhood like there, and how did you first get into the sport of running?
Yeah, so I grew up in Santa Rosa, California, and there's a youth track club there called the Santa Rosa Express, and I joined that when I was 11, spring of 6th grade. And really, I was just kind of an all-around athlete. I did a different sport every season. I played soccer in the fall and basketball in the winter, and softball was my spring sport, but I just got a little bored of softball because I didn't feel like I was getting to run around enough. And so when my mom heard about a track team, then we decided to switch to track being my spring sport. And I also thought it would help keep me in good shape for soccer and basketball. But I ended up being better at running than the other sports. And when I got to junior high, I had some coaches that I really loved, and they were really encouraging. And they kind of helped me see that I had more potential as a runner, and that if I wanted to maybe get a scholarship one day to run in college, that track was going to be the avenue for me.
Yeah, that's kind of similar with me. I played baseball up until 8th grade, and it just, it wasn't as fun as running, and so I just decided to drop baseball altogether and just focus on running. What was your high school training and race progression like?
I would say very gradual, especially on the training front. It was not like an aggressive training program. I didn't do like high mileage or anything like that. But I was surrounded by really good influences. My freshman year, now Sara Hall, was a senior on my team. And so she was obviously the number one runner. She won state every single year of high school. So she was like, really good, kind of like far ahead of the rest of us. But then behind her, we had a pack of 6 women or 6 girls that we were just like interchangeable. It was just one of those really cool cross country teams where I could finish number 2 for the team or number 6 for the team, like in any given race. And so we really had fun, like setting team goals and working together. And we ended up winning the state championships my freshman year. So that was like a really fun, cool introduction to cross country, and kind of helped me appreciate like the team aspect of running. But then also that like it didn't matter that I didn't win races ever. Like I still had an important role within the team. And then once that like bled over to track, the idea that I could chase PRs, even though like I just wasn't one of like the best runners around. But I just really liked that I could like seek self-improvement. So that's what I focused on for a long time. And I just set PRs every year. And then I ran the mile in track in high school. And so that, the 5-minute barrier was like a really exciting, milestone to chase. And I did that my junior year of high school. So that was kind of how I got into it, both the team side of cross country and then just the ability to just like chase my own personal goals on the track.
Wow, it sounds like your school must have been a powerhouse, producing runners like yourself and Sara Hall. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
And California is a stacked state. Lots of great runners are from there. And I don't know if this is true. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that you didn't make it into the state meet for track until you were a senior. Is that right?
Junior. But yeah, it took me a couple years. And actually, so like, and I was like I said, I was obsessed with trying to break 5. And then my junior year, like literally every race I ran, I tried to break 5. It didn't matter if there was like, it was a dual meet and there was nobody I was competing against. I just raced the clock. And then I went like high level invitationals and I was just like banging my head against a wall trying to do it. And I kept running like between 5:01 and 5:05. And then finally at the section meet, I was like, okay, like forget about it. All you have to do here is finish the top 3 to qualify for state. That was all that mattered to me. I finally stopped thinking about the time. And then that was the race. I just raced the field and I got 3rd and qualified for state. And then I ran 4:59 in the process.
That is a good lesson for all the runners out there that try to focus less on the time and more about competition.
Yep.
And so you weren't really like the best in your state, like you said before. What was the recruitment process like for you going into college? And how did you ultimately decide on UC Davis? Because at the time, I believe UC Davis was a Division II school for many years. And how did that play a factor into your decision?
Yeah. So yeah, I really wasn't recruited by like Power 5 schools. I certainly had like kind of like low level dreams of like Cal or UCLA. But Cal like just didn't respond to my overtures and UCLA just said, let us know if you get faster. But I had my brother and sister are twins and they're a year behind me in school. So also like my parents were like concerned about how they were going to afford to put 3 kids through college all at the same time. So Davis ended up being just such a great fit for me because they were transitioning from Division II to Division I. And so they were like, in terms of their like talent level within the program, they were very much a D2 school, but they just had received like an influx of money to go D1 and actually start giving scholarships. So it worked out really well for me because they gave me a scholarship. And so that was really significant for my family. And then it gave me a place where I could go continue to develop. And I did. I continued with my PR streak, every year at Davis, and just continued getting faster and faster. So it ended up really being the right fit for me.
And how was the training in college compared to the training in high school?
It was so that they made it a pretty gradual transition for me. Like I said, I was pretty low mileage in high school, and when I got to Davis, they kept me with the middle distance group for 3 years, and so I still kept my mileage pretty low. And it was really like when I was going into my 4th year, I just felt like I was starting to stagnate. Like I really, really wanted to qualify for NC2As when we were out of the transition and could do that. But I realized like I wasn't good enough yet. And so I knew I had to do something different and a little bit drastic to jump to the next level. And so that's when I talked to the distance coach and moved up to the distance group and started running more like 70 miles a week and doing things like longer tempo runs and stuff, and just some of more of that like strength-based work, which I'd resisted for so long, but it ended up being really, really good for me. And I had a really big breakthrough that year.
I apologize. Currently, my dog is barking in the background.
I love it.
Classic Zoom call.
Yep.
So you had a pretty successful career in college, I'd say. You ended up setting a school record in the 5,000. But what were some of your other successes in college that you would label as your best results?
Yeah, so definitely getting that school record in the 5,000 was a really big one for me. And then the huge dream I had was to go to NC2As and finish as an All-American. And so I only had 2 opportunities to do that because we were in that transition. That meant we were only eligible for postseason competition my 4th and 5th years. And so my 4th year in cross, that was like my first attempt. And I just got like my doors blown off at the regional meet. I really had no idea like how hard it was going to be. And so it was after that I decided to move up to the distance group and really make some changes. And then that spring on the track, I did, and I felt like I was poised to make it to NC2As. And then I came down with food poisoning the day of regionals, and I didn't get to run at the regional race. So that was like heartbreaking for me. But then the following fall in cross, I came back and made it to NC2As in cross country. So that was the most significant accomplishment for me. And I did not have a good race at NC2As. I finished 80th. So it was a little bit of a letdown. And then on the track that spring, my shoe came off at regionals and I DNF'd the race. So it was getting to NC2As in cross country my last year was the best thing I did. But amidst other opportunities that just didn't work out for me.
That is very unfortunate. Do you know what gave you food poisoning?
I'd gone to a restaurant with my boyfriend and my mom and my brother, and we all got sick. So all we know is it's something we all ate at that restaurant.
Do you know do you remember what the restaurant was? So
yeah.
people can be warned.
Yeah, it was the Delta King in Sacramento. I was so mad, but no, I mean, it's a good restaurant. I'm sure it was just a one-time thing.
So after college, what was running like for you? You became a coach actually at UC Davis. And so what was your training like before the 2012 Olympic trials? Because you still had a couple years until those trials.
Yeah, so I definitely continued to refine what I was doing and just continue to get like stronger and build some of that mileage. My first year out of college, I decided to expand my range up to the 10,000 because at that time it was a lot easier to qualify for the U.S. national championships in the 10,000 than the 5,000. And so I was not really excited about running 25 laps on the track, but I just wanted to be at USA's so badly that I was pretty much willing to do anything. So my first year out, that's what I did. I ran the 10,000, qualified for USA's, and then ran the 10,000 at USA's. But then by 2011, the next year, I improved enough in the 5,000 that I ended up qualifying in the 5,000. So then after that, I could make the 5,000 my event. And so that's what I plan to do at the Olympic trials.
So at those Olympic trials, you didn't even, like going into the race, you didn't have the Olympic A standard, which means even if you had won, you wouldn't have even qualified because you wouldn't have had the standard. And then you ended up getting third place, which a lot of people did not expect. And you got the A standard. So what were your thoughts leading into the race? And how, what was it like crossing the line and learning that you were going to go to the London Olympics? I saw this good photo of you after the finish line, and I'll put it up on the screen after I post this, but it's a pretty good photo. You look very surprised.
It was shocking. Yeah. So going in, I'd run a big PR that spring. I'd run 15:24, and the Olympic standard was 15:20. And because I'd been making progress every year in almost every race, basically for so many years, that I knew that a 5-second PR was totally possible. Like it was just, I was just doing what I was always doing, which was like making little incremental gains. And I also thought that a top 3 finish was possible. It would be hard, I knew, but I believed I was capable of it. And so I knew that I could do both those things, and it was really improbable that I would do both of them on the same day in a championship setting race. But when I graduated college 3 years before, like my only goal was to get to the Olympic trials. I was really bummed that I'd never gone to NC2As on the track. And I just thought like, wow, if I could compete at the Olympic trials, like that would be a huge honor, and it would kind of make up for never going to NC2As. And so, fast forward 3 years to be at the Olympic trials and then be in a position where I was like, whoa, I have this like outside shot of trying to make the Olympic team. Like I was just so excited and happy to be there. There was no pressure on me. Like nobody expected me to do anything. So I just kind of saw it as an opportunity to go kind of surprise people and shock the world. But in the process, I ended up really shocking myself because the way the race unfolded, because it was a championship race, how they usually start slow and end up with like big kicks at the end. And so I was afraid of that. I didn't want us to be so slow that the standard just wasn't attainable at all. So I did a lot of leading in the race to try to keep it on pace, which is not an ideal way to race. And then at 3,000 meters, I looked at the clock and we were definitely too slow for the standard. And so I just like totally lost hope. And I faded back to 8th place. And then with 600 meters to go, I heard my coach yelling for me, and I just kind of like snapped out. I was just like having a little bit of a like funk mid race. And I just snapped out of it because I was like, wow, like we've worked way too hard for me to just like coast in now. And, and I just remembered like, no, like I'm excited to be here, and I want to honor the last 3 years and everything we put into this. And I need to just leave my heart out on the track, and I'm in 8th place. And like the 3 people right in front of me were just like right in front of me. It was like easy to pass them. So I like snapped out of it and was like, just get yourself into 5th place. So I moved up into 5th place with like a lap to go. And then, so Julia Lucas had made a really hard move with 1,200 meters to go. That's what had kind of like blown open the race, and part of what had like sent me, flying back to 8th place. But she started paying for that hard move. And so I saw 2 people pass her, and it was like she was like standing still, like they just blew by her on the last lap. And so then I was like, I was in 5th place. I was looking past Abby D'Agostino, who's in 4th place, up at Julia, who's in 3rd, and she was just really slowing down a lot. And so suddenly I really believed that the Olympic standard was not going to happen. The Olympic team was completely off the table. But I was like, whoa, like I could still get 3rd place. Like I could stand on the podium at the Olympic trials. Like that would be so amazing. And so I just started bearing down as hard as I could just for that dream of standing on the podium. And in the last 100 meters, like she was coming back to me and I could hear the roar of the crowd in Hayward Field. And so I knew that they were seeing like me closing down on her and just this really dramatic finish happening. And then I leaned at the line just because I've like messed around like playing that like all my life, like racing my brother and sister on the lawn. Like we'd pretend to be sprinters and we just like lean, or I'd like, race guys on my cross country team in high school, like back to the cars, and we'd like lean it in visual finish lines. Like we just have fun with it. It's just like kind of instinctual, because I'd played around with it so much throughout my life. So in that moment, it just came to me. I leaned at the line and then I ended up taking third by 0.04 seconds and getting under the standard by 0.21 seconds. So it was just crazy. I mean, I stood there while they were analyzing the photo finish thinking like, whoa, I think I got third, but not the standard. Like I was like mentally preparing myself to go into the mix zone and do interviews about, my like failing to make the Olympic team. And then, and then on the Jumbotron, the results popped up and the Olympic rings were next to my name. And then that's where that picture comes from. Cause I was just so shocked and amazed that I'd actually made the Olympic team.
It's just such a crazy race. And I really recommend everybody to go watch it and watch it in full, because it was just so much fun to watch. And you gotta love those stories, like the underdog who doesn't expect to win and win. It's very cool to see. So you ended up running at the 2012 Olympics in the 5,000. So what was it like to run at the Olympics and to be in the Olympic Village?
It was so cool. Yeah, I loved all of it. I loved like eating meals in the Olympic Village with, all my Olympic teammates and just being, and I was just like, I was, like you say, like such an underdog. And then I was just like around all these people that I'd looked up to for so long. So my roommate was Morgan Usini. And I remember like having breakfast with Andrew Weeding and Matt Centrowitz one day. And I was just like, I can't believe I'm hanging out with these people. This is so cool. I remember there was a day where I got in the elevator in my building and there was a diver that I'd been watching on TV the day before, and he won the gold medal and he had his gold medal around his neck in the elevator. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's a gold medal right there in my face. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, it was just such an amazing experience.
So here is a slightly edgy question, but which member on the USA track team would you say was like the biggest partier at the Olympics? And I know Nick Symmonds ran in this Olympics, and so that is who I would expect, as he's kind of like the frat boy.
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, I think Nick is probably a good guess. But Matt Centrowitz was probably a good guess too. But I didn't actually participate with any of that because I was still in the midst of the track season. Because the year was just going so well for me. I felt like I wanted to just ride it out. So from the Olympic Village, I left the Olympic Village after the Olympics and went over to Belgium and raced, and then I went over to Switzerland and got to run in my first Diamond League race. So I was still just deep into track mode.
I see. That's I think that's something a lot of people would want to know. After the Olympics, you finished fourth at the 2013 USA National Championships in the 5,000, 12th at the World Championships. In 2014, you were the national champion in the 10,000. 2015, you were the national champion on the roads in the half marathon. What was this period like when you had so many great races, and what was it like to become national champion, not just once, but twice?
Yeah, it was just so fun. I was healthy and fit, and I just had so much great momentum, and I was just really like living the dream. And yeah, that first national title especially was really special to me because it was in Sacramento where I was living, and I'd gone to UC Davis, which is right in that area. And it's only 2 hours from Santa Rosa. So I had tons of friends and family in the stands there supporting me. And that was a really exciting race. Also, I got into a duel with Jordan Hasay, and I was trying to drop her so hard over the last 3,000 meters, and she was just staying right on my heels. And then she, with 200 meters to go, she just blew past me. And somehow I managed to just like muster the ability to just like not let too big of a gap grow. And then when we got to like 50 meters to go, I was able to sprint past her. And it was just so exciting to win my first title that way in kind of another dramatic race, and then have so many friends and families in the stands cheering for me. It definitely felt like I had a little bit of a home field advantage that night.
Sounds like you're very prone to those close, exciting races.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, you once again qualified for the Olympics. What was the experience in Rio like compared to London?
Yeah, it was the experience was very different, even though my result was actually exactly the same. And that was part of the problem, is that, you know, I got to London and it was so like thrilling and shocking and unexpected. And I went and I PR'd by 5 seconds in London also. And I finished 12th in my heat, and I didn't make the final. And so that was a little bittersweet, but you know, I'd run 15:14. I felt like I did everything I could. And so I left London just feeling so excited and motivated for the 4 years ahead. You know, I just was like, wow, like I'm an Olympian, and now I get to prepare like with the mindset of an Olympian, and I'm going to get back to the Olympic stage and I'm going to do even better. And then, you know, like we just talked about, over those 4 years, like everything went so well. I continued to make progress, and I won those national titles, and I set PRs in everything from the 800 through the half marathon. And so then in Rio, I didn't have a great race, and I ended up finishing 12th in my heat again and not qualifying for the final. And so even though it was the exact same result, it just felt like a huge letdown, because all that progress I had made had been geared towards like doing better at the Olympics and being an Olympic finalist. And so that was just like very disappointing to not have it all culminate in the moment the way I wanted it to.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy how those were the Olympics where like people were worried about the Zika virus. And it's kind of crazy how times have changed. So also another edgy question, very similar to the last one. Which country would you say partied the hardest in Rio?
Oh, man. It is a toss-up for me between Australia and Jamaica. I mean, yeah, I think maybe I'll go with Australia. The Australians love to party.
I could see some Australian mates partying. I mean, Jamaica also seems like they would be big partiers, since living on the island in the Caribbean just seems like they'd always be partying. All right, so fast forward to, I guess, this year and last year. How has the pandemic and the postponing of the Olympics impacted your training? And then which events are you trying to qualify in the Olympics for?
Yeah, so, you know, since Rio, I've definitely had some stumbling blocks with injury, and like things definitely got better by 2019. I actually PR'd in the 5,000, and so I have an Olympic standard in the 5,000, and so that was a really, you know, good sign and making me feel excited for 2020. But to be completely honest, with the pandemic and the postponement, for me, it's been a little bit of the gift of time. Like I've continued to build momentum, you know, I going into 2020, I definitely believed that I could make the Olympic team. But I think having that extra year has allowed me to do more in my training, that, you know, lay a bigger base that I didn't have even for 2020. So I'm personally kind of happy with where I am right now, and that I actually got 12 extra months to just like get back into the level of fitness that I was enjoying like in 2015 and 2016. So in that regard, it's been good. Obviously there's still uncertainty. The state of things in the world is not good right now. And so I don't think it would come as a huge shock to most people if the Olympics ended up getting canceled. But I just try not to think about that. I just, I wake up every day preparing as if the Olympic trials are going to take place in June. And I can't wait for that. And I just have to like focus, act as if every day. I'm going to race the 10,000 at a meet in Austin on February 27th, and I'm really excited for it. If I run the Olympic standard there, then I would like the 10,000 to be my focus for the year. But like I said, I already have the standard in the 5,000, so I certainly have that option. With the way my training's been going, I really like my strength right now. And after all these years, I've wrapped my head around 25 laps on the track. And so that would be my event of choice right now.
Yeah. And you said how you're just going to keep training hard. And I definitely agree how there's really no reason not to train hard now, because if you train hard and your race gets canceled, the race gets canceled. But if you train hard and there's still the race, you will be fit on the starting line. And sadly, I saw this study that was like surveying the citizens of Japan, I believe. And I think 80% of them wanted the Olympics to either be canceled or postponed again. So I really hope that there can be some sort of Olympics. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see and hope that the vaccine can improve things too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, of course, on a selfish level, like I want the Olympics to happen, but, at the same time, it has to be the right thing for the people of Japan and the country and the world in general. And right now, who knows, I guess. Who knows? Yeah. But it doesn't feel very good sometimes, or I don't feel that optimistic about it.
Yeah, me too. So you just posted on Instagram a little while ago saying that you are entering your 10th year with New Balance, and most runners do not stay with one sponsor for that long. So what has contributed to this longevity to stay with the one sponsor, and what has led you not to seek a different contract with a different brand?
New Balance they're just such an upstanding company. Like I said, I really had some rough times between 2016 and today. And the fact that they stood by me through all of that, I think just speaks volumes to the integrity of the company. And I've just been so happy to be a part of the company. It has more of a family feel, not quite as cutthroat as some other companies. And so it's just been a really, really positive relationship. And I think that, I was able to like grow into the sport with them alongside. And I'm really proud to have been able to wear the logo for all these years and that I get to continue doing it.
Yeah, that's nice. I know like Nike, for example, has been like they talk about Nike being someone who will only offer your contract for a year, and it's year to year. And it sounds like New Balance would be much more consistent, and you have a long-term position there, which would be very nice.
Yeah, when you get in with New Balance, they take really good care of you, and it's just a good feeling, and I don't know, gives you like some stability that allows you to just like chase your goals and take risks in a different way.
So this is my rapid fire part of the interview. It's called the home straightaway. So we have questions from my audience as well as a few fun ones. So what would be like your go-to workout, and what's your favorite workout?
So a go-to workout on the track is cut down miles, usually 3. And so call it like a 5K workout. And basically it's kind of a 5K effort, but really the only rule is you have to make each mile faster than the last. So you have to start conservatively enough that you can cut down from there. But you want to finish the last mile like you're finishing a 5K. And I think it prepares me really well for the 5K, but it also is like kind of exciting to try to run a really fast mile at the end of a workout.
What cross-training activity do you enjoy the most, and which cross-training activity do you think provides the most benefit?
So what I enjoy the most is probably mountain biking, especially living in Flagstaff. There's just like so many scenic options and just miles and miles to explore. And so that's really fun. But I think for me, the stationary bike is probably provides a little bit more of a benefit just because I can really like put my head down and crank away and get my heart rate up for a really sustained period of time. And that's all I've found that really translates to running in terms of maintaining some fitness. No cross training is like as good as running for getting better at running, I don't think. But if I'm injured and need to do something to stay in shape so that when I can return to running, the transition goes smoother. The stationary bike is very boring, but it's the most effective.
And speaking of Flagstaff, that reminded me of a question I wanted to ask earlier. So a lot of professional runners and elite runners live in Flagstaff. Is this at all hard because you see what other people are doing and you see that there are other people that may or may not be more fit than you? How do you think it affects your training and I guess the mental aspect?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there definitely benefits, especially, I haven't overlapped with anyone during the pandemic because I haven't been meeting up with people. But there have been times in the past where I've met up with, other really good runners. And so then it's like, well, that's awesome because you're kind of making each other better. And then, yeah, in terms of kind of like seeing what other people are doing, like there are definitely times where it like makes me a little bit nervous, or sometimes like I've overdone things because I know what other people are doing. And I'm trying to chase, but I'm getting to a point where you have to be able to really like trust in your own program with your coach and know what's right for you and just stick to that. And then I don't mind a little bit of that mental edge of, like I can kind of laugh about it, but also like, allow the competitive fires to burn. So for example, Rachel Schneider just ran a great 10,000 in December and she lives in Flagstaff. And, it's like, it's just kind of funny. I'm like, oh yeah, and Steph Bruce and Kellen Taylor, well, there were tons actually in that 10,000 live in Flagstaff. And it's like, if I were to rank myself in the city I live in, where I stack up on a 10,000 meter list right now, it's pretty far down there, which is kind of funny, but it also it's in a good way. It kind of makes me a little bit like, all right, I gotta move up the Flagstaff rankings, let alone the US rankings.
So you're sponsored by New Balance, like we said earlier. What is your favorite New Balance shoe and your favorite New Balance racing shoe? And then lastly, what is your normal trainer?
Yeah. So just shoe, I'm really into the Prism right now, the Fuel Cell Prism. They're like a lightweight trainer that I just I feel like I can use them for anything, but they just make you fast. I'll do them just for my warm up for a workout or race. Just because when I start to do pickups and try to get some faster pace effort, it's easy to do it in them. I've even done progressive long runs in them because there's enough stability and support to do a long run, but you still feel really fast. Racing shoe, I'm all about the RC Elite. I love it. It's a carbon fiber racing flat. it's not like one of the huge stack height ones. It has a really like aggressive feel. Like you could go to the roads and run a really fast 5K in it. And then my like daily trainer is the 860, which is just a great shoe for putting in miles.
I think my favorite is the Fuel Cell Rebel. That is a classic of mine. And then a shoe that I really want to try is the Fuel Cell 5280, the racing flat.
Yeah.
But I haven't been like, I don't know what's going on, but they just haven't really been selling them lately. So maybe you'll have to talk to New Balance to get them to sell it more.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta get you some. Yeah, that shoe is like, it reminds me of putting on a spike, but you're on the roads. It's like, it's the perfect road mile shoe. Yeah, it's crazy aggressive.
What is something that you enjoy doing that people wouldn't expect?
Well, definitely mountain biking is up there. And I really love reading, and yeah, like my ideal time spent between my training sessions is reading a book, sitting on the couch, snuggling my dog.
Do you have a favorite book about running?
Oh, well, I mean, Once a Runner is just
Oh,
is the classic.
that
I've read
is-
it so many times. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
So funny story about, well, I don't know if it's funny, but cool story about Once a Runner. So my older brother is named Quentin, named
Oh,
after Quentin Cassidy. And
amazing.
then my name, Parker, named after the author, John L. Parker Jr.
Oh my gosh, that's
And my
amazing.
my middle name is Denton, after Bruce Denton.
That is so okay. So your parents are the coolest parents ever.
Yeah, they both ran in college, and yeah, so it runs in the family.
That's so great. You tell your parents that I officially love them.
They'll be watching this video, so they will really appreciate it. All right. If you could live anywhere in the world for free, where would you choose to live?
St. Moritz in Switzerland. It is beautiful, and when the snow is melted, their cross-country ski trails are like these little like gravel paths everywhere that just, it makes for like amazing running, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, I've seen photos of there, and it looks absolutely stunning. So now we have two more questions. These are very important, and you have to answer wisely, because otherwise I think a lot of people will judge you for this. Should Die Hard, should the movie Die Hard be considered a Christmas movie?
Oh man. I don't know. No.
It's the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Sorry, failed that one.
And then what's your favorite item from Taco Bell?
Oh boy, I'm so failing this question. I have never eaten at Taco Bell.
Never.
Yeah.
What about like Del Taco? Have you been to a Del Taco?
Never been to a Del Taco.
Wow.
I know, I'm sorry.
Well, with those two important questions, that will conclude our interview. So thanks so much for coming on. It was an honor speaking with you. And we look forward to watching you at the trials. Hopefully that there will be trials, and hopefully in Tokyo.
Yes, thank you so much. This was a fun conversation.
So I hope you enjoyed my interview with Kim Conley. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you did not enjoy her thoughts about Die Hard and Taco Bell, and I hope you enjoyed getting to hear a little bit about myself and how I got my name. My next guest is a very special guest. Colleen Quigley, Steeple Squigs. I will be interviewing her, actually, by the time that this video posts, it will be tomorrow. So we got two inquiries of the episode today. The first one, drop a question for Colleen Quigley, as that's my next interview. And then I want you to debate in the comments, is Die Hard the greatest Christmas movie of all time? So be sure to comment, and just know I will be judging you if you say that it's not the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Live life to the max, run to the max,